Hey, what's happening, wrestling world, wrestling nation? Again, thanks for your support. Ward Wrestling Live here. We have another incredible wrestling mind right here with us. He's a coach now, but he was a pretty good ass kicker himself. He's an assistant now at Virginia Tech. He spent the last 3 seasons at Northwestern. He wrestled at Oklahoma, where he was Big 12 champ, 4-time All-American in the 2015. He took the crown. What weight class?
133.
133. Wow, that's a beast class too. So good for you. He's from the barbecue city, Kansas City, Missouri, and he's here with us, Coach Cody Brewer. Hey man, welcome. Thanks so much for coming on. It's an absolute honor to meet you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I was pretty stoked when Jared sent me the email. He's like, "Hey man, set him up." I'm like, all right.
Yep.
And hooked it up, and here we are. And man, I'm so glad you came on. So I mean, first things first, we're obviously in some times that this country's never been in, probably, most likely. I don't think. I haven't done my history thing, but I don't recall, and I don't recall that we'll ever go through it again. I don't recall. I don't think. I'm sorry. I don't think it'll ever happen again. It's just historic times. But man, talk about the effect it's had on kind of your life and your transition and getting over to Virginia Tech and then starting to meet the kids and kind of do what you do to recruit. I mean, how has it kind of affected you?
Yeah, it's been crazy, right? I don't think even when people got the flu back in the day, I think it was just survival of the fittest at that point. Nobody really quarantined or shut down. It's a good thing they probably are doing that, because it caught like wildfire there for a while. And yeah, it was good. At least I got the season at Virginia Tech, I should say, that we did have one season together, and that the time was good. And it's funny because we talk about it, and it happens 1 week later. The NCAA tournament happens. Everybody's probably like, "Oh well, we'll go into quarantine now or do whatever." But you wrestle a whole season and get to March and go through your conference tournament. And you're a week away, and then they shut everything down. So I think that was tough on the guys and tough on us as a staff. But I think for the kids more than anything, I mean, they were really, really close to finishing there, and then kind of gets shut down. And I remember talking to Coach Brewer about it when the NBA got shut down. I knew we were in trouble. You get a huge organization like the NBA is like, we're done, and everybody else is done. So it's like, oh, there goes a week left of college wrestling. So unfortunate. I think if we got it, it happens in January or December, maybe it's a little different. The guys are probably like, well, we didn't get a real chance. Maybe we had a month or two of wrestling, and then, it got postponed or whatever, or it didn't happen. But like I said, you get to about a week and a half away, and that's what makes it tough. So, but it's been just something we can't control, and something we got to go through right now, and kind of figure out for, ways for our guys to get better and just keep rolling forward. It's kind of unusual times, but
yeah, I think initially we were shut down just to let hospitals and doctors catch their breath, and they caught their breath and got back open. Now it's kind of ramping up a little bit again, but yeah, I mean, I guess the whole thing is it can be passed through bodily fluid. So obviously basketball is a contact sport, and so is wrestling. There's nothing about it that's not a contact sport. So
right.
We'll see. We'll get through it. Like I said, my wife is a little more strict than most. So my kids have been stuck at home since March, whatever. I mean, she's taken them out on like a road trip to go to the Publix or something. That was like the biggest thing.
Yeah.
that they did. They were really happy just to go to Publix. It was it was a moment of like euphoria for them. They were like, "Dad, we went to Publix with Mom." I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome." So you guys go on a little field trip.
Take little wins, right? Little wins of that.
Yeah, and I get it. She's mom, so she's Mama Bear. Her job is to protect her.
For sure.
Mom, right? So, some are less aggressive about it than others, but she's definitely not one of those. But man, so first of all, I guess let's start with the transition. Your first year at Virginia Tech, you get to come under your old coach, Jared Frere, and man, what did it mean to get to that program, to be back kind of reunited with your buddy? And what have you brought to the program, and how can your mentality and what you're doing help develop the program?
Yeah, no,
That
yeah,
makes sense.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. My transition's been good. Jared, we had been in a couple different places. Jared's been in a couple different places. Being Oklahoma, Northwestern, and now I'm at Virginia Tech. He kind of called me on the phone and was like, "This place is like no other," and it really is special. And I was kind of talking to him about it, and I'm like, okay, everybody says that about, there's certain places, and then I came down and visited, and I talked to a couple people, and I was like, yeah, this is different. I need to get here. So it's something special, and it's been good. The transition's been easy between, me, myself, Coach Roby, Coach Freyer, Coach Hott. It's been really easy transition. We have very, kind of like-minded as a staff, and we all communicate really well, which I think is important, and me being new, that was, kind of adjusting. I had to get to know everybody again, and even getting to know Jared again, and really, getting comfortable with everybody. I think took a little time, like it always does. And then once, we were hitting probably mid stride or the end of the year, I felt like we all were, 100%, same mindset, same attitude about things. And you really do pick out some of those similarities too, that you already have. Right. I mean, I was with Coach Freyer for a couple of years, and there was things that he had taught me that I'm, preaching to our guys now at Virginia Tech, and it's, 4 or 5 years later, if not longer, so it's all the same, it's just new programs, new guys, new area, but it's been good, as far as just, they love wrestling. So anybody that loves wrestling is good in my book. It was an easy transition. I was talking to Coach Roby on the phone when he kind of asked me about the job originally, and I was going down to Kansas City, and kind of looked at my wife and I was like, what do you think about Virginia? And we were just kind of like, oh, I don't know, maybe we'll test it out. And then it wasn't too long after that, I was calling Coach Roby. I was like, I need to get down there, and I want to take the job. So
No, I think that's what happened to Frere too. Yeah. He said, I went and visited, and I was like, wow, yeah, this is where I want to be. I've heard it's beautiful up there. I mean,
yeah,
obviously, and Frere and I talked about it. We're Hurricane fans, so it's tough for him to be in Blacksburg, but he said there's nothing like the under the lights at that stadium up there. It's pretty dope. He said, and
really cool. Yeah,
it seems like that whole Virginia seems cool. I had the Virginia coach on too, and I mean, he said the same thing about just that state is just, it's very welcoming.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and they made that transition for me really easy. For me and my wife, she's a nurse, so she got a job pretty quick here, and really likes her job here too as well. So makes it easy when everybody's happy, and everything's going in that direction. So
sure. Does she get in the room and help you coach at all, or roll with the guys a little bit? For those that don't know, his wife wrestled at Oklahoma City, so it's kind of tough being in the house because she'll roll too. She'll be like, okay, wait a second, let's do 7 minutes to see who does the dishes, right?
Yeah, I try to avoid those battles. She can beat me up. I got to be careful. But no, it was it's good. It's good. She understands the sport, right? I mean, she knows what it takes. She was a 2-time All-American in college, and she understands, what I have to go through on a daily basis. Where some days I'm leaving at 6:30 in the morning or 7, and I won't get home till 5 at night, after practice and stuff. So she understands that, and really, we do well as far as, she probably loves it just as much, if not more than I do. So she's really involved with the guys, and really understands what they go through as well. And actually probably helps them, and tells them sometimes if they don't wrestle well, she'll let them know, and be like, you guys need to pick it up a little bit.
Yeah. So, and that's got to be cool.
Yes, absolutely. And I think it's a family environment here, but it's definitely for, the wrestling. I mean, we're a wrestling family, right? My kids probably one day are going to want to wrestle.
Right.
As mom and dad did. So it's getting to be that it's a whole family environment, and she's invested just like I am in the Virginia Tech program, and was when I was at Northwestern, but she's invested now, and she comes to NCAAs every year, and watches me coach and watches the guy compete. So it's it's definitely a family environment, which is always good. So
Yeah, it's got to be cool. I talked to Coach Rochelle over at
yep,
UTC,
yep,
and he's got his wife who grew up in wrestling, and his twin brother and his dad. So
yeah,
bringing the guys, when you talk to the kids, it's like, wow, yeah, that coach, like probably Coach Brewer. I get the whole family. I don't just get Coach Brewer. So
yeah,
um,
absolutely.
it's nice because these kids need a mom figure too sometimes when they're at college, and it's good to have somebody that can say, hey, I'll cook you a hot meal. I know you've had a bad week at school.
Yeah,
To
yeah,
the
yeah,
house, and we'll
yeah,
watch a movie or something.
absolutely. Yeah, we have the guys over for the most part. We've had them over depending on the week. Maybe 2 or 3 times a week if it's doable for everybody. And so it's been good. Those guys that transition, especially the young freshmen. It's a big thing being away from home and going to school somewhere else. And most, even if they're from Virginia or close, it's just good to get them around a home environment. So.
And if I totally destroy this name, forgive me, but how good is Mika? Is it Mika Faxon? Mika Mike? No,
Hi,
Mackay.
Mackay Lewis. Yep.
See,
Yep.
I was totally going to ruin that name, Mackay Lewis. Sorry,
Good.
Mackay. You're welcome on the show anytime, by the way, but
No,
totally destroyed you. I think I had a kid on named Mika Faxon, and he's a cool kid. He wrestled for 4 years in high school with clubbed foot.
oh wow.
So it was a pretty dope story. But I think I
Yeah.
got Mika and Mike. Yeah. So Mackay.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mackay.
No worries. You understand. I even think I had to ask it after I even watch him at nationals the one year. I had to figure it out just to make sure what it was, so I didn't screw up the pronunciation. Anyways,
How good is that
but
kid?
very, very good. there's guys that are good, and he's elite right now, and he's in a kind of a class of his own. Winning nationals as a freshman is a big deal, and we hope for him, and I had been around him for this year. He was Olympic redshirting and been around him for a year. Very quiet, very to himself, but when it comes to wrestling, he scraps, and that's the biggest thing. He leads kind of by example, and I think hopefully this year he becomes more of a vocal leader, because that's what we need in some aspects. So, but really great kid, works extremely hard, and I think I can say it for the other guys that he wrestles. He's very tough to take down.
Yeah.
Very hard to take down. His NCAA finals match was pretty impressive. You get a 2-time national champ who just about takes everybody down, and has kind of ruled the weight class for 2 years. And Mackay kind of came through and really put people on notice to how good he really was and how good he could be. So we hope that that's not the ceiling for him, that he's got a lot more in stake. And I think he does, because of the way he works. But he's going to get everybody's best now. And a lot of good guys are going to wrestle hard against him now. So I think
he's got video, right? He's got video to coach against now. And I was going to ask what, oh yeah, well, whatever. I was going to ask something else, but I forget, but
No.
sorry. Hey, your boy BB. Brewer is an amazing coach, athlete, and person, but he needs to work on his giant Jenga skills.
That's a very good point. We not best at giant Jenga. I played a couple of times, and yeah, we had a good time when we went out and did that. That was a lot of fun. But yeah, I'm not the best. I need to work on it. He's right. I do need to work on it.
Yeah. My sister-in-law and brother-in-law are partners in a brewery down in St. Pete.
Okay.
They've been open like 5 or 6 years now, but for like the first 2 years or 3 years, maybe 3 years, they had a giant Jenga outside. But like every 5 minutes, boom, boom, like you just hear this loud, and people pick it up. So one day she was like, I'm just gonna hide this thing and tell people it got stolen or something. So there's no more giant Jenga at St. Pete Brewing Company.
It's done.
Only a couple thousand people will hear me say that, so
right.
He's really watching. So that's funny, man. Yeah, isn't Mika like the first to do something? I thought I read something that he was. I mean, he's in elite company.
Yeah, so he's the first national champion in Virginia Tech program history.
Wow. Yeah, I thought I read that.
Yeah, and they've had a couple finalists over the years. that have gotten close. Devin Carter made it to the finals against Logan Stiebert, and then Jared Hott a couple of years ago was in the finals as well. So they've been right on the cusp of, making it, I should say. And then Mackay kind of got the Virginia Tech program over the hump now to where now we think that there's, hopefully multiples every year that we can put in the finals. So
Yeah, man, good for him. And
yeah,
God willing, we get through this and he gets another, what he could possibly have 4 more shots, right?
he's three more shots. Yep. Yeah. Cause the Olympic redshirt last year. So didn't wrestle, just was trying to make the Olympic team. And then that kind of fell through as well with the pandemic, but yeah, he'll have 3 more shots. Yep.
What do you think about, and I didn't write this down, but when you just said that, it triggered me. I think I read where one of the coaches is going to like redshirt all his top athletes this year because of where this might go, just to hold them back so they don't lose eligibility. Is that something that you're hearing around the nation, or?
I don't think so. As far as now, I don't know what some coaches are going to do other than, what we're planning on doing. But, we plan on, the season going on right now until we can hear anything else. And then, as far as season not happening and eligibility, I would hope, and I say hope because, the NCAA, I feel like would owe it to them, but would give them that year back, right? If we don't have a season or something doesn't happen, those guys get that year of eligibility back. I know they did that with baseball and a couple other sports last year that didn't get to go in the spring. So that would be our hope, that they would give them that year back, just for everybody's sake, that there was no season, or if there was no season, hopefully they would get that year back. I think, the reason we didn't get it last year is because we were through 95% of our season. So
Yeah,
it was
tournament, not just the biggest tournament, but it was just one tournament, so it was hard to say.
A week away. It's a huge deal for us, obviously, but they look at it as, you guys got to have basically the whole year. So, which we did in a way. So, I could see that, but yeah, that's, like I said, we haven't changed our adjustment to what's going to happen right now, because we really just don't know until we can hear anything else. But yeah, I think just planning on these guys having a season, for right now. And then, some kids are going to redshirt, obviously, that are freshmen coming in and things like that. And maybe, other guys could redshirt possibly through the year if it gets to that. But yeah, the plan is for right now is to go. And then, like I said, if there was no season, hopefully they can give those guys a year back. So.
Yeah, play it by ear. Well, I know you spent the last 3 years over at Northwestern.
Yep.
No, so first of all, we got a Florida kid there in Mike DeAugustino, and he had a really good freshman year. And what's the future look for him? How good is he? How great can he be? What direction do you think he's going in? A good Florida kid, Florida wrestling family?
Yeah, no, yeah. I loved working with Mike when I was there. We got a year together when we overlapped, and he's a great kid, and he wants to learn, and he wants to be really good. I think that's part of what, guys, maybe say it, kind of want it. You can really tell in his matches that he does want to be really elite and really good. And I think the ceiling is high for Mike. He's got good coaching staff at Northwestern. When I had left, those guys are really good friends of mine, and they're doing a really good job building that program back to, in a powerhouse in the Big Ten, for sure. So I'm excited for Mike and his future. I actually saw him at the Midlands tournament this year when I was coaching up there, and we had talked for a little bit. And like I said, he's a really great kid. And I know that, he wanted me to stay really bad when I was there, and we kind of had a conversation about it, but like I said, I know he's in good hands, and the ceiling for him is high. He could be as good as he wants to be, cause that's what kind of talent he does have. So.
Yeah. And you got another Florida kid coming to Northwestern, right? From, or going to Northwestern from American Heritage. I think he was,
yeah, Frankie Talishar.
Shahar. Yeah. So, another Florida kid coming there, and that should really help that program. But you spent a couple of years, and things I read was you really spent a lot of time with Seabass and just kind of being there side by side, mentoring him for the last 2 years. And he's obviously been very successful. What is that friendship or that mentorship or that coach wrestler kind of meant to you? And what's your opinion on the future at Rutgers?
Yeah, me and him were pretty close. I developed a relationship with those guys. That's kind of my coaching style in a way. I got to develop these guys. I got to get to know them, on a personal level for the most part, so I know how they are. A lot of coaches, some coaches aren't like that. They want to kind of keep their distance and just coach, and that's what it is. But I want to have something that's long lasting if I can. That's the goal, is to have these guys around me for a long time and me develop from them. And then, I learned a lot from Sebastian as well. He was a really talented kid. So, he's another one. The ceiling is high. He's been really good. He was the number 1 seed last year, and then the tournament, got canceled. And I think he would have, made a real run for another title run. My last year there, he was in the semifinals and got beat as the number 1 seed. So that one still haunts me to this day a little bit as a coach. But it was good to see him compete at a high level. He was a one-time New Jersey state champ. He was, not a lot of people probably believed in him in a way. I think he was like 70 something overall recruit out of all weight classes. So he wasn't real high on that aspect. And then, transition, he's beaten Spencer Lee for the Big Ten title. He's the number 1 seed in the tournament. He's really successful kind of on the college level because of his mindset, and he was willing to learn and work. And so it's been really, really good. Tough not being around him last year, but it was good to watch him compete and watch him have a lot of success. Just shows that the coaching staff there, Andrew Howe and the guys that I was with, they really took him and made him elite, I think, in a way that, I think he was pretty good when I was, with him, but Andrew and those guys, took over and really helped him a lot and got him to where he is now. As far as, him going to Rutgers, I wanted to see him finish out at Northwestern for those guys, but, and I had a conversation with him a little bit, whether he was going to come to Virginia Tech or not. And it just seemed like he wanted to be home, and he's a big New Jersey guy, and that program fits him, for that model. And I was happy whatever he wanted to do. I wasn't going to pressure him into any situation. And
could you imagine you'd be a Virginia Tech legend if you would have lured him there, huh?
Yeah.
Steve Bass to the ACC.
Good. Yeah. Good. Yeah. And so, but yeah, he's a stud, and I'm sure they'll do good things with him there at Rutgers as well. So.
Yeah. I had one of the old Northwestern coaches on here. He's the recruiter now throughout the country.
Drew Perry.
Periano, yeah. And I have his name in my head, but I never want to screw it up. So I think I'm like Palladino, Periano, and I get it right.
Yeah.
I'm terrible. I'm killing these names today. But yeah, he had sent me, I had him on, and then he messaged me Seabass's number. And I've texted him a few times to try to get him on, but he's hasn't come on. But it seems like he's had a little excitement. So.
Yeah.
But I was messaging him prior to any of this happening, I had no idea about any of this. Now, when it happened, I messaged him. I'm like, hey, you don't know me, but congratulations. And
yeah.
It was cool. Hey, so your time at Norman, man, what made Norman, Oklahoma the place for you? And obviously you kicked ass while you were there, and do you still stay in touch with those guys? And is it a place you still go and visit when you can?
Yeah. I've been a couple times when I was training for the U.S. Open this last year. I was there training with one of my old coaches and in Oklahoma. It was good to be around him for a week again and kind of just get that feeling of being back in Norman. It was cool. I appreciate, those guys for everything they did, to get me there. I only really had, I thought I was a pretty good high school wrestler. I probably wasn't, the top of the top. But they got me to go. It was between them and Missouri. And, being a Missouri guy, that was kind of tough. But, it seemed like there was something different there about Norman that I just liked and connected with, and still pretty close to home. So it wasn't too far away. But yeah, I had a good time there, and it was a good place. As far as a big, powerhouse football team, that was always pretty cool going to those football games. They crushed a lot of people. So
that had to be, I don't think you were going to get that at Missouri.
No, not right. Not right now. They were in the Big 12. They were pretty good, but and now you're with the big boys. So it's different kind of football down there. But yeah, it was good. I really enjoyed my time in Oklahoma and tried to make the most of it when I was there. So.
And what did getting that NCAA championship do for I guess for the history of Cody Brewer?
Yeah, I think it was just different. One of those feelings that it kind of went by really quick, and by the end of it, I was like, oh my gosh, I just won nationals. And you're thinking about it, and I'd been dreaming about that since I was probably a kid. That I watched it on TV on ESPN, and I was like, I want to be there one day. I want to be on that stage and wrestle in front of those people, and then all of a sudden, I'm there. I'm the guy on ESPN, and that's pretty cool. To look back on now. But yeah, I think more than anything, it helped the program. It was awesome for me, and it was an individual thing at the time, but it helped our team and it helped the program get back on the map a little bit. We had three finalists in the 5 years I was there, and they were all really elite guys and really good. Kendrick Maple had won it 2 years before. And then Andrew Howe was in the finals the year before that I was. And he ended up taking second, but, extremely big for our program to have 3 finalists in 3 years. So really made a difference for the program and for the University of Oklahoma. So,
yeah, and talk a little bit about that environment. I've had a few people on that have gotten to go to the nationals as well. And they said, man, that first time walking into NCAAs was just the crowd, the noise, the countdown of the clock, just everything was different.
Yeah, it's a special thing, right? And I think that's why the pandemic just crushed people so much of not having that tournament again, because you really do realize how special it is. And, our season as a whole is big, but really comes down to those 3 days, right? I mean, it's who can be the best on those 3 days at the tournament. And I think that's what makes the sport so great, right? It doesn't matter if you were, last seed, first seed, middle of the road. I got to be the best on the 3 days I'm there. I remember my first match still to this day as a freshman, and I ended up scoring like 20 points or something. And I wrestled really well, but for the whole first part of it, I thought I was going to throw up. It's just the nerves and just being in that moment, like, I'm here. This is it. This is what it all comes down to, and so luckily I rose to the occasion first round and it was good. It helped me kind of get on a roll, with the tournament. But, I still remember, I'm not that far out, I should say, but I still remember every match and most of the scores and how the takedowns were and how periods were and how matches were. I mean, it's just.
Yeah, and you went 4 times, right? So
Yep.
Was it the third time when you won it?
Yep, the third time. So I took 7th, 8th, and then 1st, and then my senior year I took 3rd.
Yeah, so it had to help having those 2 years of knowing what to expect when you get there.
Yeah, it was kind of, and my coach had kind of told me, it's important to start, early in these matches and really wrestle all the way through and try to score a lot of points. And so I think that was kind of my mentality in the first couple matches, and obviously the whole way through, but definitely in the first couple to try to get it rolling early and wrestle, hard for those first couple matches. It makes a difference. So
cool. Well, hey man, this has been awesome, man. I appreciate you talking with me. I'll do my 10 questions with you, and then I'll let you get back to whatever it is you do.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. So Chicago pizza or Kansas City pizza?
Chicago. Yeah.
All right. The Reno or the Rock?
Oh, the Rock.
Evanston or Norman?
I'm gonna have to go Norman on that one.
Iron Man or the Beast?
Oh, Iron Man.
Chicago dog or Chicago beef?
I'd probably say Chicago dog.
The Virginia duels or the Disney duels?
Never been to either one, so I'll go Virginia duels.
All right. Well, maybe we'll do the Farrell or the Schultz.
Oh, that's a good one. I'll go the Schultz.
All right. Chiefs or Royals?
Oh man, I'll go the Royals. I'm actually, it's sad to say it, I'm actually a Raiders fan, being from Kansas City. I know.
And you've got a team right now that's just incredible.
I know. Well, they were never like that when I was a kid. So
Yeah.
would have been nice then, but now, they're crushing. My nephews are going crazy. They're big Patrick Mahomes fans now. I'm like, this is nice for you guys. When I was a kid, they were terrible.
I could imagine. I remember when Andy Reid left Philly to go there, and
that was a big move. Yeah.
Yeah, and being a lifelong Eagles fan, it was nice to see. I thought Reid really deserved it, so good for him.
Absolutely.
More prestigious, Fargo or the 32?
I'll say Fargo. It's a pretty good tournament.
All right. Pan Ams or Cadets?
I think Cadets is hit by storm now. It seems like a big event now, I should say. So I'll say Cadets.
All right. And you've been in 2 barbecue parts of the country. So better barbecue, KC or Oklahoma?
Oh, KC by far. They crush it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot better. No offense to the Norman and the Oklahoma faithful, but it's Kansas City's just a different ball game. So
that's what I hear. And I hear Oklahoma isn't bad, but KC's like next level.
It is. It's really, really good. It's funny because there's a place in Kansas City called Oklahoma Joe's that's really good. It's called Oklahoma Joe's. Kind of funny how that works out.
That's funny. Oh man, this has been amazing. And you do usually check your Instagram messenger?
Yep.
All right, I'll send you my cell phone on there so we can keep in touch. And then
Awesome. Yep.
please feel free. Any of your Virginia Tech guys want to come on, wrestlers or coaches or the guy that cleans the mats, whatever, they can all come on. And that'll be fun. And anybody around the nation that that like to come on, I'll share my link with you, and please feel free to invite them on.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, man, it was good talking to you. Thank you so much. You have a great day.
Yep, you too.